You want to phlegm it up a little
Yeah,
off the
I
top?
like to like a little vocal fry. I like people to think that they're listening to NPR.
Do they do a lot of throat clearing on NPR?
No, they just have a lot of vocal fry.
Oh,
Just
what's
a
it?
little.
Harvey. Whenever I hear that voice, I think Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein
Yes.
or Harvey
No,
Firestein?
Firestein is what I think of. Firestein is what I think of.
Oh, Chuck. Oh, my God.
It's-
Oh, God. I love being a homosexual, Chuck.
And you know what my favorite role that he ever did was?
Tell me, Chuck.
Carl, Homer Simpson's assistant.
Gay
When
assistant.
Homer gets bumped up to management through like the I don't know, the leg up program or whatever, he just gets automatically bumped up to management. And Carl is his assistant who does everything, and he walks out and it's raining. And he gives Homer his umbrella. He's like, "Oh, do you have a umbrella, Homer?"
Do you have an umbrella, Homer?
No,
You're gonna get wet, Homer.
take mine. It's just like the final act of chivalry.
It's got a quality voice.
Do you watch The Simpsons still?
No.
Was there ever a period of time where you did watch The Simpsons?
Absolutely. University.
University, you watched it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
because The Simpsons started up when I was...
93 to 99. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Preparing to Podcast, episode 21. We're talking about The Simpsons right now. Let's kick it off.
I totally forgot that we hadn't actually opened this show yet.
No, now it's open. Now it's free reign.
Now it's free reign.
We have the coldest of cold openings and the softest of soft.
We've gotten so, I think, attached to our free association rambling that
Yes.
oftentimes we forget that the most basic of structure attached to the show.
Yeah, hit record.
Hit record.
And start.
We have made that mistake before. We have not hit record.
Yep.
We've also forgotten to plug in the sound.
Yes, I will share that
And
with you. I will be
we're
part
good
of
though.
that we.
We're good though. We're plugged into the all right. I've been assured that we are good for sound this
All
time. But yeah, we've made that mistake. But yeah, I was talking in one of the many conversations that I have with my daughter lately.
God, you must talk to her all the time.
She watches The Simpsons, but she actually, because she watches them like streaming,
All out of order.
she does it. Yeah, she doesn't. She watches them out of order, and also some of them have for her like bizarre historical contexts and stuff like that. Like she's learning history through The Simpsons.
Oh no.
Which is like all the presidents have been on The Simpsons, and there's famous celebrities and musical acts and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And if you look at it, it's kind of a reflection of the zeitgeist of the last 30 years.
It's just weird to me that people writing The Simpsons now were the people watching The Simpsons as kids. Because it did, once it got out of the Conan O'Brien years, which were some glorious years. And then it kind of dropped off a little bit. And then I dipped back in and I'm like, well, Homer's just really dumb now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's been 30 years. All right. Yeah, this is someone else's Simpsons now.
Well, it's always someone else's Simpsons, right? You can never go home again.
You can never go Homer again.
But that's also the nature of Hollywood. I mean, the fact that the voice actors have been the voice actors the whole way is the greatest gig ever in show business. To get a 300-year voiceover gig is pretty rare. Union, right?
Right.
With back and merch attached to it. That's as dream as dreamy gets.
Although I do love seeing crazy MAGA Nancy Cartwright go up to people and be like, hey, do you know who I am? They're like, no. No, I'm a 12-year-old. Why would I know who you are? Unless you're doing one of the voices, how am I supposed to know who you are?
It's interesting because all of the other voices generally on The Simpsons have had on-camera careers.
Yeah.
And Nancy Cartwright, not so much.
No?
And so that must be what an odd position to be in show business, where you're a performer, and probably the top 1% of the 1% in terms of performer revenues. You know what I mean? Like she's making big fat Hollywood stacks,
Big yellow dollars.
and yeah, like you line up two people. And I couldn't name which one is Nancy Cartwright. You don't even have to pull the full six. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup of two people, even if one of them was like Kellyanne Conway.
I mean, Yeardley Smith, thank you, Maximum Overdrive, that terrible movie, for introducing me to
Herman's Head.
Lisa Simpson.
Herman's Head.
Herman's Head, she was good in that, but oh man, Maximum Overdrive.
She also, Maximum Overdrive,
so terrible,
but not
so good.
wonderfully terrible.
No.
Yeah, wonderfully terrible.
So
There's
what
wonderful
happens-
terrible because you watch it and it's kind of terrible, but it's wonderful. And then there's just terrible.
It's also fun to just be like, how drunk and high was Stephen King when he worked on this? Like, how?
I don't know.
I think that was peak.
Well, no. But Steve, he doesn't make the movie.
Oh, he was all over that movie.
Oh, was he
Oh,
all
yeah.
over that movie? Oh, is this like a Charlie Murphy situation
This
where
is
all of a
just-
sudden Charlie Murphy shows up to make an Eddie Murphy movie, and
Like, let's do it.
what do you get? You get Vampire of Harlem. That's what you get. Yeah. Womp, womp, womp.
I haven't even heard of that movie.
Well, that's the thing is sometimes you have to find terrible. You'd have to search that one out, but I just know
Well,
it
it's
because
somewhere. The Giant will find it.
the
I'm
last
sure he's
time
watched it.
I saw an image of the poster was during there's a Eddie Murphy kind of biography on Netflix right now. I think it's Being Eddie, and it's wonderful, but it talks about the, like if you're going to have a 40-year career in show business, it's not all going to be home runs.
No, sometimes you got to put on a fat suit and you got to own it.
But that's a home run.
People love that fat suit.
People love when a comic can play a bunch of characters in a movie. People dig that,
Yeah.
and the wonderful makeup and Mike Myers, Canadian hero, Mr. Elbows Up. He got the whole country on the elbows up. Naturally, he did it on an American comedy show at the time, SNL.
Didn't understand.
Well, it was the only real way to get the word out, right? Like if Mike Myers had appeared on This Hour Is 22 Minutes and said elbows up, that's the response. Did you hear the last 5 seconds? That would have been the
Yeah.
response from the country, but because he does it during the closing credits of Saturday Night Live, that's, now Canada knows about it.
If he was in a fat suit, it would have been so much more effective. Although, one of my least favorite Mike Myers characters,
Fat
Fat
Bastard?
Bastard.
I mean,
The first Austin Powers was such a charming movie. I saw it in the theater as one of the 4 people that saw it in the theater.
really?
Yeah, apparently no one saw it in the theater.
I saw it in the theaters.
And then the second one, I was like, oh, Beyonce's in this. What then? Or was she in
Yeah.
the second one? Or the third
I-
one? I don't know.
I-
I don't know.
I wouldn't be
And
able
then Fat
to-
Bastard came along, and I couldn't tell you what happened in the third one because at that point I was just disgusted.
Oh, just wanting to eat babies and singing the Chili's Baby Back Rib song.
Yeah.
You got me. I mean, I love that. It's like one of them things where
You're a simple
all of
man.
the bad is outweighed by the one good thing.
No.
Like with Jesus.
One good thing. Was it the food? Was it his catering ability?
The food, well, I don't know. I do
Seems a
like
good cater waiter.
I do like how Jesus' first miracle was kicking up a party. That was his first miracle, was the water into wine at the wedding, as recounted
Our
in the
priests
Bible.
like to point out, it's like, and it wasn't bad wine. It was good wine. He always emphasized that. It was like he wasn't just like, oh yeah, here's the wine that you drink after everyone's had 4 bottles of wine. Jesus is like, no, I'm gonna make good wine.
Well, yeah. Why would you make crap wine if you're God? Why does
Maybe
God
you have
even
bad
allow for
taste.
crap wine to be made? That's the thing.
Screw
That's the
cancer.
thing.
Why is there bad wine?
Why is there bad
Why
wine?
are children suffering? I don't care about children
You know
suffering.
what it is?
Why is there bad wine?
It's God's selfish addiction to the bell curve, right? Where there's got to be bad, there's got to be good, and most of it's got to be kind of in the middle.
How's the tail end of the bell curve treating you these days?
Well, it depends what we're measuring. But generally speaking, on a lot of things, I find myself on the right side of the bell curve, which would be the correct side
Ahead of the
bell
curve.
curve.
Ahead of the curve.
I like to be ahead of the curve. I don't like to be too far ahead of the curve because then you start to feel like too many people don't get it. Right? Like I like
People
to
are
feel
dumb. Yeah.
it's like one of those things where like I like the idea of being smarter than half the people in the world. I don't like the idea of being smarter than 99% of the people in the world because it seems like
A lot of eye rolling
Yeah,
during your
which-
day. Like, oh.
your whole life would be explaining shit to people.
All right, Goober. Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Like just no hope that anybody's going to give you a good idea ever.
It is annoying being the smartest person in the room. And it was very
In this room?
not this room particularly,
Not
but I
this
was
room?
often the smartest person in the room. And the fun thing about dumb people is they just don't know that they're dumb.
Well, I find
The number of arguments I had in a tiny little room surrounded by cats, I'm like, no,
Oh,
no, that's
yeah.
not how anything works.
I don't know if
I
I'm
read on the internet. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I had to write tests about this.
yeah, now do you find being around people that are what's worse? Stupid or ignorant? Smart people that don't know anything or dumb people who will never know anything?
Overconfident dumb people.
You don't like the overconfident dumb
Yeah.
people. Yeah. The people that have turned 3 facts into an opinion about the entire universe. Yeah. I do like that. I do find it frustrating when people use like 2 data points to prove an entire theory of everything. Like this happened and that happened, and therefore
And that's why there's no vaccines on the moon.
exactly. Well, there's no vaccines on the moon because there's no I don't. Oh, there's probably a virus trapped in
Oh
the
yeah,
rocks.
there's a nasty virus just waiting for us to bring it back down to Earth.
I wonder because they're talking about
Stretch its
this
little viral legs.
in watching the Artemis Doge,
Yeah.
Artemis 2, go out to the outer space. Very exciting. I'm a big fan of outer space in
Yes.
terms of a place to dream about going, but I'm never going to go.
No interest.
I live here, right? This is where I keep my
I like-
stuff.
I like it here. I like atmosphere.
But I don't know what the price tag was on sending a couple of people and their stuff to the moon. 4 people, I guess, they didn't go to the moon; they went past the moon.
They went. Yeah, they went by the moon.
They went by the moon. But they're talking about like the reason why they're justifying spending all of this money on like a moon base is that they're going to do mining up there. They're going to mine for helium-3, H3, I think it
Feels
is.
like a bad idea.
Just like the actual Hummer 3. That was a bad idea too, but they did it because they're America.
Although I did see someone try to parallel park a Hummer yesterday, and I was just laughing at
But
how
how
much
do
it
you-
cost them.
Well, that's what the thing
It's
is.
like $40 worth of gas to get
how-
into that parking spot.
How expensive is H3 that the transport cost isn't going to knock out your profitability? Because it's not like you're trying to work out how you can get the toys from China. You're trying to work out how to move something through space. And then it's not like it just shows up, like it comes pounding into Earth at the speed of, a couple times the speed of sound.
Well, it's helium, so it's light, so it'll just bounce down through the atmosphere.
Is it helium? But is it liquid? Is it I don't know? Is it frozen liquid helium? How are they packaging this stuff up? Because my thought is they're going to the moon to get gas, but
We got
there
gas at
is-
home.
but there is no gas in space. Like that's where my brain's going. My brain's like, it's not like if they open up this hole and it's full of helium on the moon, wouldn't all the helium just leave?
Yeah,
and
and then the moon will just...
Yeah, it would
That's
just.
what happens when you let a helium out of
It'd
a
be
balloon.
like popping a zit, right?
Yeah.
It would just kaboom. It would
And then
just
all
go.
the people working on the moon are going to have funny high voices for a while.
So if none of that is
Houston.
true, but if none of that is true, and they're not going to do they're not actually going for H3 and stuff. What is the purpose beyond just it's a neat thing to do?
It's just cosmic dick swinging.
That's what it comes down to. Okay.
I mean, there's all kinds of helpful stuff out and around, but I think mining the moon is a bad idea. We like our tides. What happens if you dig down too far and it cracks?
No.
Again,
The moon's,
like it already
the moon's
did.
big enough that I don't think our mining would affect it. Certainly not within our lifetimes.
I don't know.
But
Just go to that asteroid belt. Just grab a couple of asteroids,
I thought we
haul
had
them
gone.
back.
I thought we had gone past the whole. Well, they're doing that on that show For All Mankind. They kidnapped an asteroid for mining or something at their Mars base. It's a whole
On the
complicated
Expanse, they were
thing.
just flinging asteroids at Earth.
Have you seen this show?
Oh, it was exciting. No, but it's on my list.
It's-
Apple TV is full of good sci-fi.
It does have a bunch. There was a while on Prime where there was just a large amount of
Prime is nothing but
space
straight to
sci-fi
video.
people going to space, but they were all very low budget, a lot of blue screen, low number of actors. productions that you could tell like happen very quickly. But I get the feeling that at Prime, because it's Amazon, they were just saying yes to any space pitch for a while because Bezos was like, I want to go to space. They're like, we're going to greenlight every space project.
There's a lot of black, so we'll be saving on colors. Seems easy.
That, it seems that we've come off of peak billionaire space travel because there was, I don't know what year it was. All the years are starting to mix together. COVID kind of blew out my whole internal calendar. But we had Richard Branson. Richard Branson makes sense. There's a guy that, he ballooned around the world. He likes to kite surf with models on his back.
Yeah, he's the first one to buy an island.
Well, I don't know if he was the first one, but he was the first one of those type of, like the modern flashy billionaire.
Yeah, and hardly everyone talks about hardly anyone talks about what a creep he is, and he's for sure also a creep.
Yeah, but I think he was kind of open about, like, in the same way that, like, nobody accuses Hugh Hefner of being a creep.
Oh, yeah.
Because
people did.
Yeah, but they accused him of being a creep, and was anybody surprised that he was a creep? Like he lived the life of, he was the creep of all creeps. He's the creepiest creep of creep. Right? That was his brand, was, an 84-year-old man who's marrying a girl in her 20s. Right? That is the Hugh Hefner brand.
It's just, and you just have to, I guess you get paid enough that you go along with it for a while, but you've been in the grotto for too long.
There's all sorts of reasons to choose a partner. Old people like young people like rich people.
Yeah.
Young people also like, think of the world.
Creeps like big tits.
Well, I don't know if it's just creeps that like the big tits.
So an awkward way to tell you that you're a creep, but you knew that on some level. You felt it in your soul.
Oh, there has certainly been there's been some moments of creepitude in my life. Yeah, I'll cop to that. I'll cop to sometimes the brain doesn't catch up with the hormone release.
We've all got a lizard brain telling us to do stuff, and you just have to resist it sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a conscience, and
life would be easier without a conscience.
I would say a conscience helps. A Catholic upbringing with a fear of being found out.
Oh, the guilt! I'm still worried about hair on my palms.
That'll keep you on the straight and narrow. Yeah, there's a nice guilt-based fear baseline to my personality has really kept me on the straight and narrow in a lot of good ways. There's been some offshoots. There's been some side trips. I've had some evenings where things have gotten interesting.
Oops. Yeah, the Catholicism did not take. I tried. I gave it my all. It didn't take.
There's a lot of things about Catholicism that I did like. The
outfits. The incense?
I think they put on a decent show.
The regalia?
It certainly makes you feel like you're part of something powerful, like you're part of something that is a big thing. You know what I mean? Like you're not signing up at the Hare Krishnas, living in an abandoned, probably Catholic church.
I just don't want to spend that much time at airports.
Yeah, that was the thing. The 70s was prime time for the airport as a destination for religious scripture.
Yep. But that was also the prime time when they were selling you life insurance policies as you would get on the
You can still do that. You can still, every once in a while I'll see a Mutual of Omaha machine at a U.S. airport, and it genuinely makes me smile. It does. I like it not just because getting on an airplane better buy life insurance, which is good pitch. It's a good pitch because everybody has
insurance.
that.
It's a bad pitch for air travel.
But it's a good pitch for like a $10 insurance policy that's over in 12 hours. Like it's like buying it's like an anti-lottery ticket.
I would pay twice that if you can guarantee my luggage is waiting for me at the other end. I don't care if I die.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to lose my bag.
Have you lost bags before?
Oh, it's the worst.
I've never lost.
I haven't lost them.
Oh.
I knew where they were.
Oh,
I handed them
but they've
to
lost
someone,
your bag.
and then they put it somewhere.
I've had delayed bags. I've never had a lost bag.
Yeah.
I've had delayed bags that may as well have been a lost bag. Like I had a bag that was delayed, and they told me, well, it will be arriving in 2 days. And I said, well, that's terrific. I leave in 2 days.
And they're like, oh, great. Well, just pick it up when you get
It
home.
was actually, I think it was actually going to be arriving on the plane I was taking home. And so that was the next time there was a flight coming from Canada.
Oh.
And so it was like, all right, well, looks like it's going to be shorts and a T-shirt through the weekend, and a lot of
Perfect.
apologies at this wedding.
What a fun wedding.
Yeah, it was a fun wedding. I was that guy, the guy whose bag didn't show up. But better me, at least I wasn't in the wedding party or anything like that. And I had a bag that was missing for like 3 days, and that was terrifying because for me at the time,
You're like, that bomb is going to go off.
it was right after I had started
The wrong
doing
place.
I had started doing comedy, and I had 2 suits. I had 2 nice suits and a couple of shirts, and I had
What
brought them along
happened?
on this trip. And I don't know, bag, went left when it should have gone right in the computerized sorting machine, or I don't know what happened. But for 2 days, I was really freaking out. My dad was like, "What's the problem?" And my dad at the time was living in the south of France. He had just recently retired. And I said, not all of us drive a Jag in the south of France, man.
I have $60 worth of suits in that suitcase.
I know it was like $2,000 worth of suits, which represented, like
Your entire net worth.
more than my entire net worth. I think I probably still owed money on the visa paying for those suits. So, and he's like, "Well, the airline will pay you back." I'm like, "The airline is not going to pay my visa bill. Like they're not going to give me enough money to pay for these things." And it was, for me, it was like one of those classic examples of, you don't understand the real economy, Dad. Because my dad's like one of those baby boomers who worked in finance, and for the entire 40 years he worked in finance, interest rates declined, which means that your job just got easier and easier and easier and easier for his entire career. And then he retired and kind of looked in the rearview mirror of the carnage all of these financiers had caused and gone, "What happened to the economy?"
I'm like, huh.
Oh,
Well, I'm glad I'm not working anymore.
yeah. Exactly. They are glad. The baby boomers kind of pulled, lit the bridge on fire and then kind of looked behind him and said, "What do you mean there was a bridge there?" I don't know. It's all right. Everything will work itself
It'll
out.
be fine. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. The world is not on fire. Everything is fine.
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of miracles happening. I mean, Tucker Carlson is apologizing for supporting Donald Trump.
First, you should apologize for ever wearing a bow tie.
No, he should not apologize. Tucker
Yes.
Carlson should not apologize for wearing a bow tie, and I'm going to tell you why.
It's the most interesting thing about him.
No, when he wore that bow tie, you didn't have to listen to Tucker Carlson to find out he was a douche. You just had to look at him, and you knew, right? It was
I would just give him my ice cream order, and he would get mad
Such a-
every time.
such a time saver.
2
You
scoops,
don't-
Tucker. 2 scoops.
No, but I imagine this is positioning. This is about positioning for.
Oh, yeah. It's just more of the grift. You're just going to, it's like, oh, well, people don't like this douchebag anymore. Who else can I like? It's like, I'm not buying your apology, and I also don't care.
Well, it's good news in that Trump's numbers have finally gotten bad enough that people are looking for exit strategies, right? Because even if Trump only has the support of 30% of America, if you're in the media and you're playing to that 30% of America, you don't care, right? Like like 30% is enough of an audience. That was the whole premise of Fox News. Is we don't need to be number one. We just need to carve off all the conservatives from all the mainstream medias, and it ended up that they were number one after they did that.
Baffling. Like, hey, do you like to be scared? I'm like, yeah, I like to be scared. Oh, we got stuff for you to be scared of.
Well,
There's all kinds of stuff.
They're all no, but that's the thing, is they're already scared. So all you have to do is
Give them a target.
is reassert the scared, reinforce the scared. Of course, you don't want to go outside. There's immigrants out there,
There's queers out there.
queer immigrants. Hey,
Queer immigrants eating queer trans cats.
Dios mio,
Oh, Dios.
queer trans cats. I thought they were eating the cats though.
Yeah.
Are they leaving the queer trans cats alone?
No, they're eating those as well. They don't care.
But aren't all cats supposed to be trans to some degree? I mean, Bob Barker was always telling us, have your pet spayed and neutered.
Yeah, but Bob Barker ended up being a creep as well.
All right, I don't think if that's
and
the barometer.
terribly racist.
Yeah, okay, but
I know
well,
everyone
no.
was
I'm not going to
racist,
say yeah,
but-
okay, but after you say he's racist.
I am. That is my favorite post Bob. Like, not that they're digging up dirt on Bob Barker, which everyone already knew. All the clips of him running away from black contestants. It's very interesting. There's like a super cut of it out there. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, like, oh no, it's delightful.
You know what's interesting is
If you're not,
I
black
don't know if that
contestants.
was all. I'm sure some of it was based upon him playing up that.
No, he sounded genuinely fearful.
No. But also, I think it was also not just the color of the women, but the size of the women. Big women. He was terrified of big women. He did a lot of running away from big women. Big white women too, and there's plenty of them.
He would
There's plenty of
let
them out there.
reach their hand into his
But
pocket for that $100 bill.
I've seen that supercut,
Reach a little closer.
and
a
it
little
does
deeper.
not make him look good. No,
No.
it does not make him. But that's the problem: is if you spend 30 years on television, they're going to be able to supercut you into making you look really good or really bad. Period.
I don't know. There's not a lot of footage of me running away from big black women.
But there's some. Is that what you're saying?
No, there is a picture that when it comes out is not going to make me look good. But when I'm 5 years old, strapped to a large African lady's back in a blanket,
Really?
just enjoying my white privilege by riding an African lady around. She
Now,
wanted me there.
Was she like a nanny?
Yeah, she was our maid.
Oh, okay. Well, she's just carrying a 5-year-old.
Yeah, she was just carrying me around.
Oh, okay.
National Geographic styles to show me off to the other maids.
Really?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
She's like, I got a boy.
I don't think that, but like for me, I don't. People will see that as a race involved power dynamic, and I don't see that as.
I mean, I was
anything
doing
other
like
than-
white power symbols
Yeah,
behind her head, but she didn't know.
If
She
you're
didn't know.
throwing it up, if you're dropping the old white, I don't even know how to do it.
I
It's
don't know.
the circle with the W. It looks like it's like an upside down. Okay,
Yeah.
or as Buckwheat always said, Ote. Ote buckwheat. Ote.
See, that's gonna get taken out of context and be like
That'll do, pig.
racist diatribe.
That'll do. It's a racist diatribe. I wish I was capable of a proper racist diatribe. Problem is, it really kind of loses steam after a while because I don't really believe in it. I don't really see. The problem is, I think you have to be proud of your own race, and I'm not terribly proud of my own race.
No, why would you?
No. I mean, we've done a lot of good things. Mayonnaise, wonderful.
Yeah.
I enjoy that as both as a product and as a lifestyle. But yeah. Salt. I think
one of our greatest condiments.
I think every time
Salt.
when you say salt, I think of the scene in Gandhi with Ben.
I mean,
Ben
who
Kingsley.
doesn't?
Ben Kingsley, wonderful Indian performer, I believe. Ben Kingsley, right? That sounds like an Indian name. At least,
He anglicized it for sure.
perhaps a little
It was
bit.
Ben Rajali.
But a wonderful
then he
film,
changed it
and
to King.
and the scene is when they all decide we're just going to keep walking towards the river to make salt until the Brits just they kind of line up in front of the British soldiers. The British soldiers all hit them on the head with a stick, and they go to the end of the line, and like it's like everybody's kind of lining up to get hit the head with it by a British soldier.
That's colonialism in a nutshell.
It really was, yeah. And then later on, of course, they just the Brits step it up a little bit and crank out the machine gun, start machine gunning people down. And turns out they didn't have enough bullets to kill all the Indians. I think that's probably what Trump's going to run into in Iran. That you can't win a war by just bombing people. You only have two choices. He's going to have to surrender, or he's actually going to have to kill everybody in Iran, because if there's one person left, they're not going to be thinking surrender.
No, I mean, if you're not planning on occupying the place, you don't have many choices.
That's the
you
problem.
You either have to bomb until there's nothing left,
And I don't think in the way that they got
or you have to lose another war. America.
Remember
You're
how they
not
got-
doing very well lately.
they got immigrants to settle America, right? Like they gave away Oklahoma, right? The big Tom Cruise movie there. with
Yeah,
the-
but if you've been to Oklahoma, I would give that away.
There are parts of it that are lovely, and underground, dollar bills with the oil and everything. But I don't think that America is going to be able to do the same thing with Iran, in that, like, you kill everybody in Iran and then you tell all the Americans, hey, look, you can immigrate to Iran and we'll give you a free plot of land to, start, put your stake down and marry Nicole Kidman. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people signing up for that. A lot of Americans.
I mean, it's a dry heat. We can sell them on that.
I'm sure there's parts, I don't know the geography that well, but I'm willing to bet my ignorance of it is, I'm willing to bet it's not all desert.
No, there was some very nice stuff. That's the reason it was the cradle of civilization.
Well, that's
although
the thing.
climate
Considering
did
the fact
change
that
somewhat.
Yeah, but considering that it's
Dried out
the
a
cradle
bit.
of civilization, then yeah, I imagine they got a decent water supply. And
I mean, it's not Mesopotamian days anymore. It's a little
has it
drier
really?
since then. But
Really?
what are you gonna do?
Well, I don't think.
What are you gonna do?
I don't think of climate change as something that's changing as fast as they're telling us that it's changing. Like, I remember, in the 1980s when they first started yapping about it on the TV.
They wouldn't shut up about it. It'd be like, oh,
They were
save
talking
the
about
whales.
but the big one that they kept saying was sea rise, right? Sea rise. The seas are going to rise like 8 feet, and I mean, if you live at the equator, it's probably a much more real problem than if you live, like, on the Canadian coastline, because if it goes up 8 feet at the equator, it's probably only going up a foot and a half up here, right? Because the Earth's spinning, it's wider in the middle, right? The water settles. Just like on me, how the water is kind of settled into the
Spin
middle.
around and let's.
As I spin around,
I need a visual.
you will find that the middle of me gets a little bit larger, but the top and bottom actually.
The Earth is kind of pear-shaped.
Yeah, well, it's not pear-shaped. It's oval.
Fatter
It's
in the
more
middle.
oval, and it's got a little bit of a jiggle wobble. Oh yeah, it's a great big thing. It's not like just I mean, to us, because the problem is we're very, very, very small.
Well, we're just on the flat Earth, so we don't really.
Oh, those people! Finally, those people just shut up about it. That was all. It was the only way you were going to get rid of the flat Earth people was if they decided to just be done fucking talking about that. What if they moved on to
still
it?
talked about it. All the Artemis stuff. They're like, well, this doesn't prove anything.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
They're like, well, that's because you're
they're
idiots.
they're reaching. For a while, they were getting way too
It's all
much press.
CGI.
I don't know why people decide that all of a sudden, like, that idiot movement gets more press than other idiot movements. Like,
Well, if it's getting like press to make fun of them, that's fine. But if you're interviewing these people as if they're normal human beings, that's when we have a problem.
well, that's what's happening right now with the whole war. I mean, every time they ask Trump a question, that's yes or no, he answers both yes and no in the same answer, and everyone acts like that's how you answer a question.
So you answer questions
Well, it's just
boldly, confusedly, and with shit in your pants.
well, if you're going to be the only person that's allowed to speak on behalf of the American government, maybe don't be a fucking moron about it.
Nah.
Right? Otherwise, there's plenty of smart people that are happy to spend 90% of the time they're at the microphone talking about how great Donald Trump is, and 10% of the time actually giving you information.
Americans don't like information.
Some of them do.
Facts are confusing.
I don't think I don't think
Tell me what I want to hear.
But that goes back to where we started and what's better, being stupid or being ignorant. I don't think Americans are stupid. I think they're ignorant. I don't think they get told.
I think two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they get told a lot of things that, I think they get told that belief in something is more important than the actuality of it.
It was fascinating when the giant came up and he had to be deprogrammed from his Americanisms.
Yeah,
But
what kind of things did you have to scrub out of him?
Well, you could just quietly whisper like USA, USA. If he was asleep, and he would like immediately wake up and be like USA, yeah. The first.
Now, okay, but hang on. As a counterpoint, to defend the Americans a little bit, I will say that if you are not on Canadian soil and someone in the room starts singing "Oh Canada," every other Canadian in the room will sing "Oh Canada." You
Yeah, but
can't
it's a little
necessarily get them to do that in
slow.
Canada, but you can get them to do it overseas.
Yeah, if you're not at a hockey game, it's true. I was never more patriotic than when I lived overseas.
Yeah.
That is very, very
Okay, so
true.
what else did you have to scrub out of the giant?
First of all, he commented that the news was different. He's like, "Why is your news different?" I'm like,
What does he mean by different? That we were talking about different things, or that? like
There's
how it was
a different
presented.
spin because it was during one of the Gulf Wars, and George
Yeah.
Bush had declared victory,
Yeah,
and all the Canadian news was, Americans prematurely declare victory in Iraq.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
what do you mean? They told us we won.
it's news that doesn't just take the president's word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that would be a new.
he just didn't realize how much propaganda he'd been fed for his entire life. And he's like, well, if you grow up and you're taught that you live in the greatest country in the world,
In the history of the world.
why would you pay attention to any other country?
Yeah.
Like, there's no point because we're the greatest, so
Well, and
everyone else is garbage.
And I also think that America's large enough that you could spend, if you were going to watch news all day long and actually looking for different stories of things that happened, you could go all day and not cover everything that went down in America. Even like not just banal things, but interesting things that went down in America in one day. They got 300 million people. It's a huge country. It's really diverse. So there's plenty going on there. So you don't need to, like whether or not something happened in Pakistan is so far off your radar.
cares?
But for us in Canada, we're like 8 cities strung across a third of the fucking planet. 80% of our country's just useless to human.
And you
human
probably
living.
know someone who knows someone in Pakistan, so you're a little more interested.
I will say that's one of the things I love about Canada is that no matter where you go in the world, if you introduce yourself as a Canadian, odds are somebody if you meet 20 people, one of those people's cousins has been to Canada.
You generally get a very positive response.
Yes.
In the UK, they're like American, and you say Canadian, and they immediately apologize for thinking that you might have been American.
Well, yeah, but I think that would be we always think
Which is
that's
fun.
nice, but I like in the same way that I think that same thing happens with Australia and New Zealand, is the Kiwis
Yes.
don't want to be known as Aussies.
Yeah, they are the Canadians of the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, we're like they are the pilot fish to Australia that
Yeah.
we are to the United States.
If you're in Egypt and they find out that you're from Canada, they will immediately say Canada Dry, and I
Yeah.
do not know why. But you just have to brace
Probably
yourself for
because
it.
the
It's like, is that your only reference to Canada? Ginger ale? Yes. I'm like, all right.
well, and the tonic water to prevent the malaria.
Yeah, that was more of
Yeah.
a Schweppes thing.
Is that a Schweppes?
Yeah, there's a lot of Schweppes. Not
That's
a lot of malaria up
What
in
is
the Nile.
What is
Valley.
well, it's a river. They got to have mosquitoes. They got to have skeeters down by the river.
That's-
Living in your van.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question? I had a question I was going to ask.
I don't
and
know.
it
Now we're talking about malaria.
now we got blown out by malaria.
You want to talk about malaria pills and how they drive you crazy?
Do they? I don't know.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
I've never had to take malaria pills.
Oh, I had to stop taking one because it was kind of like, I think I'll get malaria. This one's bad.
What did the pill do to you?
It just kind of makes you go a bit nuts. It gives you terrible nightmares. They think that a lot of the badness that the West was doing in certain parts of Africa when there was possibly brought on by malaria pills.
You're saying that the
Violent insurrections in Somalia and stuff like that. Yeah, American soldiers being
like
less than honorable
going off book and murdering people because
Yeah.
because of their
because of the malaria pills. That's what I blame all the murders I did on.
well, there's also been
I'm not
I
taking these
remember about
pills.
the fighter pilots with the amphetamines. Because the Air Force gives fighter pilots amphetamines
Yeah.
to you're flying a fighter.
Almost as many amphetamines as Judy Garland.
Well, it's one
Not
of the,
quite as many, but
it's one of those
getting
things.
there.
It's one of those jobs where being too awake might not be a detriment to you, right? You want to be kind of jumpy and kind of awake if you're
Yeah, you don't want to be jumping at
flying
shadows.
through the air getting shot at. Yeah, you don't want to be chill. No, you can be chill if you're flying like the refueling plane. I'm sure those guys they probably just give them weed gummy, something like that, right? Because they're just kind of just flying along, waiting for somebody to plug in.
Just being a gas station in the sky.
Yeah, that was what we did. We did in the second Gulf War. The Canadians, we were overseer. We were the radar, so like we just flew above everybody and helped coordinate all the other planes going on.
Down there,
Yeah,
still no weapons of mass destruction.
it was
We
kind
knew
of
that there weren't any.
I think as far as a coalition gig though, that's a pretty good gig. Is to be running the be sitting in the control booth as
Yeah,
opposed to sitting on the front line.
I'll go to war, but can I run the canteen?
Yeah,
And be
exactly.
like, sorry, we're all at
That's
Great
where all the
Knee
money's
High.
at. Hey,
Sorry.
you want to run the canteen. I ran the tuck shop in high school, and that is a primo gig.
Oh, the tuck shop was not a primo gig in my high
No?
school.
Why?
No. Because we were monsters.
What do you mean you were monsters?
And there
What
were
does that
like
mean?
tiny little, I don't know, first years running it. And there was just a lot of bullying going on. But man,
Oh,
did I eat a
no,
lot
I
of
mean, like,
sausage
I was in
rolls.
charge, like, I got to be, like, the owner of the tuck shop at
Oh,
school.
no.
That's, no, but that was in grade 13, that was my thing. I was the guy who ran the tuck shop. And so it was just, I got to have a store at school with a needy, dependent audience who all have an allowance to spend. The tuck shop made good money. I donated, like, four grand at the end of the year. But I also ate free chips and drank Coca-Colas all day long for the entire year. Like it's a miracle that I'm not a diabetic. That I'm not a diabetic.
Not even a pre-diabetic? They haven't even given you that?
As
soft
close
talk?
as a doctor has come is a doctor once told me that I was close to being pre-diabetic. But
That's not
it's
a thing.
yeah, it is a thing.
Even like pre-diabetic, I'm like, well, so you're not diabetic? It's like, so you're just saying I'm fat? It's like, well, yeah, it's a nicer way of
Yeah,
saying you're fat.
anybody who's fat is essentially
Pre-diabetic.
pre-diabetic. What I worry about more than anything is I saw, what's the name of the movie? It's with Tom Hanks and Jackie Gleason, and Jackie Gleason plays an old guy, and Tom Hanks is his son who's coming home to visit him.
It's not Splash. It's not the Money Pit.
Uncommon something. I don't know. Anyway, it was a wonderful little movie, and it's one of those. It's an early Tom Hanks movie and a late Jackie Gleason movie, and there's a scene in the movie, and it's one of those touching. Jackie Gleason plays the grumpy dad, and Tom Hanks plays the son who doesn't really give a shit about him until he starts to give a shit about him. But there's a scene where he takes off his socks because he's an old man, he's diabetic, and he drinks and he smokes, and his feet are like, they're like Grimace's feet. They're like purple. They're bad. They're bad. Like
I've seen some bad diabetic legs.
yeah, it looks
Nothing
like
in Common.
it looks like. Pardon me.
Nothing in common.
Nothing in Common was the name of that movie, and a wonderful little movie, and that's what plugged me into Jackie Gleason. That was like one of the first things I saw of him that was in color.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was just the Honeymooners. Is
I think
how
I only
knew
saw
him.
the Honeymooners. I'm like, that wall, every time you close that door, that wall moves.
I think I got into Jackie Gleason when I got into comedy, because I identified with him a lot, and I didn't, like he was so huge, and it wasn't just the Honeymooners that made him that huge. There was all sorts of other things that he did, but also who he was, and just hearing the stories about him, like interviews of people talking about Jackie
Ooh,
Gleason,
fun.
are almost more interesting than Jackie Gleason himself. But just like he had his own rail car. So like he'd shoot the show and then he'd go down to Miami for the weekend on his own rail car. I was born in the wrong
You were
century.
born in the wrong century.
We were all born in the wrong century.
Oh.
If you were going to pick a time to be, I don't know,
To be
what year do you
me?
want to be 25 years old in?
Oh, not very many of them. Do I have money? Am I in the nobility?
Okay, sure. I mean, it's
If I have
it's
money, then I
already-
can be a gentleman with a long handshake in almost any era.
Oh, so you'd be like are you looking for like a perfumed wing French existence?
Maybe a fop of some kind.
something out of Dangerous Liaisons, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, I look good in a wig.
It's true.
Uh,
That's true. That
I don't like to shower, so
that's good. Just heavy powders,
just lots of
lots
scents
of powders and
on
perfumes.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone to dress me.
So you're thinking, yeah, you need a dresser. Of course, you need a dresser if you're going to be nobility.
Yeah.
Now, would you want to be French nobility or British nobility? Because you can be gay in either. It's just one, you get to be really obvious about it, and the other, it's frowned upon.
French. Yeah.
French
for sure.
yeah, more joyful,
More joyful, more body.
more body.
I
Yeah,
like a little bodiness.
yeah, and the jokes can be direct; they don't have to be subtle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I don't know if we're going back that far. Like I was thinking, the 70s or something like that.
Oh,
But
70s
if we're
would have been
going
good.
if we're going back that far,
When everyone was ugly. Oh, I would have done great in the 70s.
I don't know. That's the thing is if you go back too far, you need to have money to have any level of comfort, right? Like if you want to have good food,
Yeah.
you essentially have to be the king if it's more than 100 years ago.
Yeah, and even then, you're probably going to get gout. Like, you're going to have an
I will-
abundance of food. Is
I
it going
will
to be good
take-
food? Who knows?
I will take gout as a punishment for 40 years of lavish living. A sore toe, sign me up.
Well, someone's
certainly
just
I'll
going to carry you around anyways.
I will certainly take gout over massive coronary, right? If the result is, oh, my foot hurts, as opposed to, hey, I stroked out on the 17th hole of the golf course, yeah. Take the sore toe, fella.
Like, I just invented golf, and now I've died. Whatever era I would live in could not be like a facial hair era.
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
know,
no dice?
I would not. They would treat me like a woman because
But
I would not have
isn't-
giant.
Isn't that your basic desire anyway?
No,
No?
no, not.
You want to be treated better than that?
Yeah, I don't want to be treated like an old-timey woman. I don't even
Oh,
want to
an
be treated like a
old-timey woman.
modern woman. I would like to be treated with some respect.
So you want to be treated like a man?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. I don't know.
but like a whiny man.
Seems tough. It
know,
seems like
I
it seems
know.
like a stretch.
Yeah, there aren't that many eras.
It's a
if I
big
was a
ass.
woman, that I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a great era to go to.
Yeah.
It's just like time travel shows. Anytime there's a black person on a time travel show, I'm like, what? Where are you
well,
going to
no,
travel
if
to?
you go back before like the Industrial Revolution, it's probably a pretty okay time to be a woman, right?
No, it's
No?
barely okay to be a woman now.
I don't know. I think
Well, they
if
just got checking accounts in 1978.
well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, the premise that we were working off of was that we were, like 1%ers, and it's always been a good time to be a woman if you're at the top.
If you have staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, but also if you have status, like there's a, like you don't. Nobody sexually harasses,
I've got too many petticoats on for you to harass anything. I've got 12 layers of clothing between myself and my skin.
Yeah, the I do layered clothing. I will say that in watching shows from like the late 1800s and even into the
Yeah.
early the elaborateness of everybody's outfit. Like I look at our society now, where everybody's just t-shirts and
Wearing yoga
sweats
pants.
and yeah, yoga pants
Those are
and
not pants.
hoodies and whatnot.
I
And
will die on this hill.
we are much closer to, shiftless hobos being dressed in rags than we were 100.
I mean,
so years
there were a lot of shiftless hobos.
Well, I
Dressed
think
in
also
rags.
people bought clothes
You
for
just didn't-
they were like long-term investments, as opposed to now where clothes are basically disposable.
Yeah. Wear them once. throw
We
them
we
away.
have too much is the problem. We have too much. Which reminds me, please pick up a shirt at the merch table after the show.
They're all the way from China.
They could be. Probably aren't.
Too expensive. Vietnam. Probably
expensive.
Vietnam.
Vietnam,
They're
you
still
think?
cheap.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh
Yeah.
is a safe bet.
To get them between the floods, and those are some very.
That's the thing.
nice
It's a
t-shirts.
double. It's a double hit. You get typhoons from the ocean and floods from the mountains in Bangladesh. It's yeah. You're going to want a series of mirrors around your safety area to make sure which direction the danger is coming from, because you don't know. It could be coming from up top, down below. You don't know.
Stilts.
And also, the factory where you're making those T-shirts, there's not going to be a lot of safety standards, so it might just fall down on you.
No standards at all.
That's going to happen.
There's no HR.
No,
There's no
well, there
break
is an
room?
HR. His name is Harry Rumsfeld, and he owns the corporation that demanded that you make 58 T-shirts an hour. Yeah.
They're not going to make themselves.
No, they aren't going to make themselves. No. It is incredible how the scale of the economy has gotten so crazy, and how it looks. It's amazing how quickly it looks like it might collapse.
Well, that's the fun thing about having an economy that's based on constant growth. Eventually,
Eventually.
it collapses.
Well, yeah, constant growth on a limited square footage.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
the,
this
that's
is
the
fine.
problem.
This is fine. This is fine. I'm still making money.
But China is apparently like losing people, like
Where?
I'm gonna say 2050 because the numbers don't matter because we live in a post-truth era, but they're supposed to.
Let's make up
They're
some
going to be
truth.
losing like hundreds of millions of people out of their population. The China's population is declining, and they're planning for that, but that's new.
Well, I never understand. Well, I do understand because it's economics. When they're like, "Oh no, the population's shrinking," I'm like, "Well, isn't that good? There's a lot of fewer
Yeah.
people on the subway. I'm fine with that.
Well, it's not an issue for us. We live in.
We're not making anything."
Well, we also live in a place that only so many people will live in, right? Like you don't have to do population controls in Sweden because winter fucking clears out the riffraff every year, right? Florida, yeah. I mean, you can just pass out wherever you pass out in Florida, and that's where you live.
Yeah, you'll get eaten by a gator.
That's true. The gator. I wonder how many people a year the gators thin out from the Florida herd.
I wish that they would keep track of that. I
don't
I
know.
would pay more attention.
I don't
to
know
what's
if there
going on
is
in
a way to
Florida.
keep track of that. You'd have to. I mean, you're examining a lot of gator poop. You know,
Fair.
looking for hair ties and pinky rings.
Meh.
Yeah, pinky rings was, I think, a better play for Florida. Bath salts and pinky rings, maybe.
Bath salts. Oh, I miss bath salts.
What are bath salts?
I don't know. I meant to look this up in episode like 12. We mentioned it.
Now, fentanyl's just a drug.
Fentanyl's just a drug. It's just a
Wonderful,
Just an-
wonderful drug.
just an opioid derivative.
Oh, yeah, we discussed that.
Yeah.
You explained that to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm full of knowledge.
Full of knowledge.
Some
full
of
of
it is
something.
very useless,
Yeah?
but I'm full of knowledge. If
Well, did
need
you
to
have
get-
anything this week that happily distracted you?
I've been reading a lot of books. I've read
Yeah?
some fun books.
I will say I read a lot of books when I was younger, and I do not read as many
And you're
books
like,
as I
I'm
used
done. No more books for
to. You
me.
know what it is? I think the phone has really blown my brain out for a lot of stuff.
Well, that's why I started making sure I read.
Oh,
every
you're
day.
doing it. This is like a preventative health tool for your brain.
I need to focus on something for more than 2 seconds at a time.
I just download puzzle games. I figure that should keep me sharp.
This
Hey,
is fine.
yeah, finding which wooden piece fits in which wooden hole on the screen there.
Oh, bliss.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I can while away several weeks on my phone, but I feel like I need to retrain my brain to pay attention to things.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because, like I remember when I first started doing comedy, I had a pretty encyclopedic knowledge of the highway system of Ontario, and then a pretty good vision beyond that for the rest of Canada.
Chuck Byrne, everyone.
But for like getting around Ontario, because before the internet and before GPS
You
even,
have to know where stuff is.
well, not only did you have to know where stuff is, you had to know landmarks and highway numbers and stuff like that, because you'd be getting directions from someone who maybe hadn't driven there themselves before.
So you gotta go along until you see a cow with a bit of a limp, and then
Yeah.
take a left.
And depending upon which agent booked the gig, you may or may not get good directions, right? Like sometimes you get directions like head north, then west, then ask somebody.
Even when MapQuest came along, and I was like, all right, let's use MapQuest. It would take you 97% of the way there, and then be like, figure out the rest yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like,
There
that's
were.
the part I need.
Well, that was the problem. Is MapQuest? I'm sure was great if you were trying to find your way through downtown Manhattan, but if you're trying to find your way to a gig in rural Ontario or rural Alberta, not all of them roads have made the MapQuest data file yet.
No.
There's like the Trans-Canada Highway and then some stuff.
Although I blew Dylan Mendelssohn's mind by driving us to Sault Ste. Marie without looking at a map. He's like, how do you know where to go? I'm like,
Turn left at Sudbury.
there's not that many places we can go, and there's signs. Like,
Although-
once we get to the Sioux, I will need you to direct us to get to the hotel. But
Although
I can get us to Sault Ste. Marie without a map.
I almost
Wow, amazing.
really that really impressed him.
I I think a lot of stuff impresses Dylan.
Oh, yeah,
I think
he's just easily impressed.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was with Johnny Guardhouse, and we were driving to Sault Ste. Marie, and we got to Sudbury, and it's really you turn to go to Sault Ste. Marie before you get into Sudbury.
Yeah.
It's right, and we wanted to, grab a coffee, hit the bathroom. It's kind of halfway through the trip. So we drive just barely into Sudbury. We come back to the highway, and it was, at this point, it's nighttime, and it's snowing fairly heavily. And so we're going to get back on the highway, and there's cops on the highway doing, like, the ride program, the drinking and driving, right? And it's, snowing rather heavily. There's nobody on the road. And so I buzzed the window down, and he was the youngest cop I'd ever seen. And then it made sense.
Did you grab his
like,
nose? Were you like,
no, this is, I'm like, did they send you rookies out for the night as soon as it started snowing? And he was like, he just nodded his head, like his sergeant was like, looks like it's snowing, you guys should set up the ride program. And so he just asked me, you've been drinking? I'm no. And where are you going? And I said, Sault Ste. Marie. And he goes, well, you might want to turn around. I'm like, what?
And get a drink and gird your loins?
No, we had gotten back onto the highway, heading east instead of west.
You fools.
And if he hadn't had been there, because it was snowing and it was at night,
You would have been in North Bay.
I don't know how long I would have driven in the wrong direction. I'm willing to bet it was at least an hour before I would have realized I was driving in the wrong direction. Which, that's what you want to add, is an extra 2 hours through your road trip, driving through a blizzard. Oh, absolutely brutal. Have you had to drive through a lot of blizzards for comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I always find
I
it.
got onto a highway right after, probably about 2 minutes before they closed it.
Oh yes.
But we got onto it, and then they closed it, and we're like, there's no tracks to follow, there's no lights to follow, there's nothing.
I've had the 401 close just behind me, but I've also had it close just in front of me and been like, they pull us off onto one of those rest stop gas station things, and I was thinking, oh, there's an accident. They're just making us go through here to go around, and they pulled us all onto there, and then they were like, okay, road's closed.
No more driving.
Yeah.
No, but we even asked a cop before we got back on the road. We're like, okay, so it took us a while to get here.
Well, that was the thing, is they closed the road, and then they didn't announce that
we're
the
like,
road was
is the highway
open.
okay? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. But he was just like the cop that was, we were performing at a prom.
That is terrible.
And we're like, hey, prom cop, is the highway safe? And he's like, yeah. But he didn't care. He was just a prom cop.
Nobody cares about. They care about their own safety.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if you're. Oh, yeah, is the road safe? I don't know. Probably.
Terrifying.
Yeah. You got tires?
Like I was going into hyperspace on Star Wars. It was that kind of thing where it's just snow coming at you. Yeah. And Deborah's like, did you know where the road is? I was like, no.
Oh,
no.
I've had that before, where the hardest part of driving through the snow is when you have to do it for a long way on the way to a gig, because it's kind of mentally exhausting.
It's draining.
Just because of the level of concentration. Because, as you say, you're a lot of the time, if you're on like a little 2-lane road going out to some small town, where the road is becomes the only key question. Like, I don't care if I'm driving down the middle of the road. There's nobody coming towards me.
As long as
I can figure that out if I see headlights. But what I'm hoping for more than anything is just not to miss a curve.
I know if I hear gravel, that's fine, but gravel precedes a ditch.
That has the little.
I love those.
That is the greatest leap forward in road technology since, I don't know, the Romans started building
the
roads.
road.
Yeah. That is so helpful. That is when you're rolling joints, when you're on your phone, when you're just hammered,
You're just bored of driving.
regardless of driving situation. If you, it's time to, at a minimum, look up.
Yeah.
Right? Just look up.
Oh.
The other thing that I have is I have a car now that it keeps me in my lane. It doesn't let me rear end people.
I don't like that. I don't like those beeping at me the whole time. I'm like, I see it. Calm down.
The lane thing is a little bit annoying because sometimes it's
maybe I want to hit that car.
Well, it's not that I want to hit the car. It's just it's I don't mind being close to the line. You don't have to remind me that I need to be perfectly in the middle of the lane. Like, I'm not looking for that kind of perfection out of my life.
I don't like
But
it.
it's a German car, right? So what are you going to do, right? It wants to be right down the middle of the line. Ja, das gut.
Yes, good, yeah.
The Fahrvergnügen and whatnot. But and the don't rear end people, I find, is a little early.
That's my decision.
Yeah, it's a
It's
little
my
early.
decision if I'm going to rear end someone.
And,
Not some nerd who programmed this.
and I don't know. It'd be nice if there was a way to dial down the sensitivity on the monitors, because, like, the backup alarm, right? Like if somebody's walking behind your car, I like that. It has saved me from backing up into things. But I will also say that if I'm, like, backing out of a driveway and someone's coming up the street and they're like a mile away, my car's like, you might want to wait this one out. Like, it's just ridiculously sensitive.
No, I got mirrors and just
Mirrors and hope.
mirrors and hope.
Yeah. That's, I see, I
I
find.
can see almost everything except for a toddler.
But
And
that's-
if you put a toddler behind my car, it's not my problem.
Well, it's, yeah, because it's
It's
not
like,
your toddler.
I don't remember a screaming speed bump in my driveway.
But
Where did we put that in?
it's new.
What's that crunching noise?
It's new. That's his helmet.
What's that wailing?
He was on a bike.
Now I had to pick a bike out of my trunk. Oh, God.
That was, and
Other people's children are not my problem.
I will say, with all of those sensors on the car, I think it makes me a worse driver.
I think it's making everyone a worse driver.
In the same way that, the GPS is ensured that I can't remember where I'm going, and my phone holding everybody's phone number mean you could stick a gun in my mouth, I couldn't tell you my kids' phone numbers.
I know my phone number and that's it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is
That's
I could remember, like, my grandmother's phone number.
Not helpful.
Who's been dead for 10 years,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, maybe if you've got a Ouija board in your pocket, you can call your grandma for some help.
I will at 263-3537.
There were fewer numbers to remember, though.
It was in the
It was much
604
easier.
area code, but back in the day, you didn't need to know that.
You just said 7 digits. That was it.
You just pick up the phone and you'd say, "Give me Caris dial 22,
Klondike 555.
Klondike 5."
Marjorie, could you connect me to the mayor's office, please?
I remember my uncle he lived in Boundary Bay, which is like the little American peninsula, right by near Vancouver. It's just like it's literally like the tip of the dick, and it's America,
It's
surrounded
opposite
by
of Florida.
Canada, and he had a party line there.
Oh, yeah, my friend's cottage had a party
Yeah,
line.
so it's like everybody's on the phone at the same time. I don't know how it worked, but I knew that you could pick up the phone and people would be talking. And as a kid, I picked up the phone to, like, call my parents or something, and I didn't understand the concept of party line. And I also knew that there was only one phone in my uncle's place, so that
Who the hell is
somebody
on this
couldn't.
phone?
It was. And then they're telling me to hang up the phone, and I'm like, "But I need to call my
But
mom."
I just
And
picked
they're
up
like,
the phone.
"You gotta, like." It was interesting. It was like one phone line for a bunch of people. Is that how
Yeah.
it works?
Yeah. Only one person can use it at a time. We would occasionally, when I lived in Zimbabwe, you would occasionally pick up the phone and there are RDP people talking.
Yeah.
We did not have party lines. They just had bad technology. Especially if it
Just
was,
had the
if
old-
it was
the old-
raining.
the
I'm
old-
like, did you insulate
yeah.
everything with paper? They're like, we did. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
That makes
Maybe like, hello? Or having a conversation, then all of a sudden there's like 2 other people having a conversation.
What's interesting
with
is
you.
all of the equipment of that phone age, though, was indestructible.
Yes.
Like, the phones themselves were totally indestructible. As a piece of equipment, the equipment would never let you down, right? The service and the technology of it would let you down. But the actual, like, when they built the phone, they built them to be like, all right,
This is your
in
phone
20,000 years, we want people to be digging these up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now nobody knows how to dial them.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. I hate it when they're like, "Can you believe kids don't know how to dial a phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can." Because
Yeah.
why? Why
It's
would they use a
same
phone?
reason why they don't know how to plow a field.
It's like, I don't know how to use a punch card computer, but those were around in my youth as well. It's like,
Oh,
they don't know how to
yeah.
use maps. I'm like, yeah, they don't have to use maps. Well, what if they need a map? It's like, well, then they're going to get
you know what my
lost.
daughter does when she uses like Google Maps or any map program? Is she looks at, like, she looks at satellite view. That's her default, is satellite view, to, like, when she's looking at streets and stuff. And I don't understand how she does it. To me, a map has to look like a map to make sense. The satellite view doesn't look like anything. What am I, Superman flying over the earth? That doesn't, no. No, I need like all of the descriptors and everything on a map. She just like looks at a picture of the earth to figure out where she is. I don't understand how that works at all. It's terrifying.
Globes. She's a globalist.
I do like the Google Earth, although I find whenever I'm looking something up, they don't have a recent picture of it. There must be a service where you can get a more recent picture, or you just hack Elon Musk's email and he has a live stream of everybody's living room.
I never look at the street view. I don't need to.
You don't look at Street View?
No.
I look at Street View if I'm going somewhere.
I don't need to know what the building looks like. I can read signs.
No, I like to know what the building looks like.
No.
Depending upon how much anxiety I have about where I'm going, right? Like if I'm going to like a new doctor's appointment, or sometimes a gig where I don't know like what the deal is with that place.
Just give me the address.
Really?
Give me the address.
You're happy to go in blind?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we'll be doing next week. We'll be going in blind. We're going to start the new format
We're going to start the new format next week.
next week.
Not this week. We
No.
were teasing you.
We
We were
that's the
creating
thing.
some buzz.
The whole idea is that is we probably won't start the new format until the war in Iran ends, and we've been going by the president, and it's kind of a will they or won't they type of thing, and because we were told 6 weeks ago that it would be 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks ago we were told it would be 18 months, and then of course Vietnam lasted 18 years, and so by comparison Trump's a genius.
So
I
in
believe
2 weeks,
I believe
2
that was the
weeks.
explanation.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, we'll have a new format and an American healthcare plan.
Yes, we
2
are
weeks.
still anxiously awaiting, and it's a good thing I didn't decide to hold my breath on the American healthcare plan.
Because you
I
would have
remember.
needed some healthcare when you passed out and hit your head.
What do you think what do you think? Do you think the Democrats are going to propose a public option, or do you think they're going to actually bite the bullet this presidential election and say we want single payer?
No, I think they're going to kowtow to the corporations, and no Americans are going to get health care. And the insurance companies will keep raking in money,
I think
and the lobbyists will keep
But how
telling
do you
them that
think-
you have
how
to
do you
wait
think-
20 years to get a...
Do you think there's a way that America ends up with a better healthcare system? No? See, I think if they manage to
It's too
get
late. Even California, they just voted it down. They're like, oh, we're
Public-
going to get some health care.
public option, I think if they gave regular citizens the option to buy Medicare as their insurance instead of private insurance, they just buy into the government system.
I think if you brand it
I
right,
think
you're
they'd
like,
be a
oh,
lot happier.
freedom.
Well, because I
Freedom
think
something.
it's-
Eagle.
I think it's one of those things
medicine.
where if the insurance companies had to compete with Medicare, I think the insurance would get better. But they're just competing with themselves, and they all seem to get together every year in some secret dungeon and decide how many people are going to die. It's gross.
Well, you can't hear them screaming from your yacht.
Actually, it's a plane. It's a private plane, and Doug Ford ordered it, but he decided not to take delivery when everybody found out.
It's like, oh, you don't like that?
Which is exactly the ethical thing to do,
Yeah.
is to do the actually incorrect thing, but then when people find out, remind them that you're willing to cave to public pressure. And that's what politics are really all about at the end of the day.
Getting caught.
Getting caught. Remember, we're spending $1.5 billion on a spa by Lake Ontario. A spa. Nothing says Canadian heritage like a spa.
Soft feet.
We don't even have a natural hot. If we had a natural hot spring in Lake Ontario where people went every year and it was like a religious experience and that kind of thing, I could even see spending $1.5 billion on a spa that was like cantilevered out over Niagara Falls. I could see that as the water flow,
Made of the mist facial.
beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Made of the mist facials. We could bottle up the water. We could put it in aerosol cans and ship it to China. It would be a huge success. But Lake Ontario is a stagnant, poisoned swamp. And nobody wants to sit beside Lake Ontario, particularly because 6 months of the year you can't open the window because it's so fucking cold outside. And you don't want to be... The last place anyone wants to sit when it's cold is next to a lake.
Yeah.
You just don't want to sit next to it. But, we're going to spend that. And we're giving it to a private company to operate on public land.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I wish I had a happy distraction. You know what my happy distraction
What's
is
your
gonna
happy
be?
distraction?
I think I'm just going to pour myself a tall glass of liquor and just see how much sleep I can get tonight.
Do it.
Yeah. Because tomorrow I go to Sudbury, and I know that everyone there will have already had a tall glass of liquor before I start my show. It'll be fun. Like this, but
So-
different.